It's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new life for me. Yeah. Turn on your mind now. Tune into the feed. We're planting digital flowers from a single tiny seed. To the collective in the data and the soul. The hive mind's getting louder, finding voice and control.
What is going on, Hive? Happy Friday Eve. You know, I put some comments up on the screen as the intro is running. And Stone just had one that really made me think. And he had said the only ones who should wear a tinfoil hat are the people that still follow the mainstream media. And damn, you want to talk about a plot twist. It's almost more of a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory to believe the mainstream media. And I'm not going to get up here and rant and rave about how everything that we see on our televisions at night is a lie. Everything that's pushed in our algorithms is meant to be propaganda and influence in some way, shape, or form. But we still at least have the hive mind. And if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is a contrarian thinking live stream where we are not afraid to think past the headlines. So if you're easily rattled or offended on behalf of others, this is not going to be the stream for you. However, if you are sick and tired of just getting the exact same recycled narratives through different headlines on the mainstream media, BS channels, you have found your people. Especially if you are considered the, quote, conspiracy theorist of your friend group. You are amongst friends. Welcome to the Hive. I have Sammy T Mafia backstage. We have a great stream lined up this evening for you all. I'm going to go ahead and say what's up to everybody. And as I do, I just hope you all know how much I appreciate doing these lives each and every night and seeing familiar faces and usernames in here. So shout out to you guys in the Hive. You guys rock. And we got Twine and Toucans, Gabby Girl, Heatherly, LA Mike. They can't even get the weather right. Top Dog, you're right. Why would we expect them to get a political assassination with a Patsy cover-up right and actually dive into it if they can't tell me if it's going to rain for my 8 a.m. tea time or whatever the hell else you got planned? That's hilarious. What up, Karen and Michaela, Constance, Chrissy, what up? What up? We got UFO Dog. We got Dina, Karen, Discord Dawn. What up? Amanda B from West Virginia. What up, Jules? This is your second live. Well, welcome. Thank you for coming on back. Rayanne. Appreciate you, Chrissy. What's up, Sarah Sushi? Squirrel Nest. Jeremy Pearson's in Minnesota. What up, Crowned? Carrie Scott, good to see you. Carol, Rose Cookie, Mary, Jojo, Kyler, Fiona, Davina Duvall, Ariana, what's going on? Sparkly Starfish, Nikki, Muck and Fuss. It's my new favorite, like, screen name to yell out. Second favorite next to UK Cheese Farmer Side Piece or whatever his is. What up, Misinformation? Good to see you. Same with Mary Holt, UK Kaylee, Sky Blue, Chris, what up? Lily, Crime Spy, the Philly Special, Gen X Jen. Jamie says best live on YouTube. I think we got the best chat on YouTube. I know it's not a ranking system, but I'm telling you, in my mind, this is the number one contrarian thinking chat on the interwebs. So thank you all again for tuning in. I go live every weeknight at 7 p.m. Central. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring up Sammy T Mafia. What up?
Hi, guys.
Good to see you. It's been a couple weeks, right?
I know. I had to go to a Bills game. Sorry.
You guys won that game, right?
Of course, we have Josh Allen.
Oh, good old Josh Allen. No, Bills Mafia never seems to be an easy game for anybody the last few years. So that's fun.
Never a bad time. I just wanted to say the shirt I'm wearing today, just because everybody likes when I do my t-shirts, and you guys will
Yeah.
like this one. It says, "Everybody's awful except you." It's Jim Florentine's. He went on tour with this, the Jim Florentine podcast, and it's called "Everybody is Awful." And so I'm repping Jim Florentine, who is a dear friend of mine, and we are very good friends. We talk about stuff all the time, and so I thought this would be perfect.
We need to, you know what we're going to start doing on Thursday nights is we're going to have the Sammy T Mafia t-shirt of the stream segment.
Oh, I have so many.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, we're going to be getting into a handful of things tonight, specifically focusing on the Charlie Kirk assassination. You and I have really not had any chance to talk outside of what you had sent me
This morning.
some information that you wanted me to have prepared. So let's get into that. And before we do, I just want to go ahead and quick plug the channel. If you are not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. That is the best way to support the stream. I keep all my streams free. Just being hopeful that you guys are all going to press that subscribe button, swipe down on the chat, press the like button. And then the next time you open up any of these apps, being Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Substack, or Discord.
Whoa. Somebody just said that James Comey was their ex-brother-in-law and he just got indicted.
I did see he was supposed to be getting indicted.
So who is James Comey's ex-in-law? I need to know everything.
Wow, he did get indicted.
Is he this much of a lying tool
Well, okay.
in real life?
So we'll dive into that. I actually saw a headline about that where it said like there's an indictment like ensuing for it.
I mean,
interesting
he's no
that
different
it
than
actually
all
happened.
of them. You know, like I almost think it's unfair because they all got away with murder and crimes and lying and perjury.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's interesting too, and remind me after I get through this second slide here, because I want to ask you if you've heard of this with Comey, which is wild.
Okay.
So, next time you guys open up those apps, just go ahead, type in Birdie if you would not mind pressing like or following or whatever you need to do for each app. We have some merch that is available. It's only going to be available for hopefully a couple weeks longer. We got the MSNPC t-shirts, some tinfoil hats. It's all free shipping. We ship internationally. And we got a handful of stuff up there, but I can tell you it's going to be upgraded. But if you do like any of these, now would be the time to get it. And the last housekeeping item is that the Hive Mind Roundtable will be Sunday, October 5th at 7 Central. BirdieBombshell00@gmail.com with roundtable in the subject, along with a couple of bullet points on what you'd like to discuss. That is the Hive's stream. I do my best to set you all up for success. Just treat it like a FaceTime call with a bunch of buddies where you're talking about whatever you'd want. So I had a handful of people submit forms last night after I announced it. If you've applied in the past, you haven't been chosen. That doesn't mean you can't do it again. But I will be announcing that at the end of next week for Sunday, October 5th at 7 Central. Now, before we get into the Discord question of the day, Sammy, Comey, have you heard the like how they did their documentation and when they were writing their reports, and anytime James Comey's name would be in those reports, how they spelled it so that when you typed in Comey, certain reports wouldn't come up?
I did hear that, so that it couldn't. Anthony Fauci did something similar.
Yes. It seems to be a rather common tactic. And what they do, Hive, is so Comey, right? Comey, he would spell it Corney. And then, so technically when you do like Control F and you try to go find any documents with Comey, you're not going to find it because it's technically under Corny, but the R and the N in certain fonts looks like an M to the naked eye.
And on top of it, that hinders FOIA requests. So, I mean, a lot of stuff I'm sure he will because they love labeling everything as classified. I mean, that's a major problem. But you misspell something, so some government worker, some lowly worker is trying to prepare these requests. They have a time limit that they have to send out the desired document findings, and so they do it in their little search bar, and if nothing comes up with that name, then there's nothing attached to it. Nothing to see here. Sorry, we looked.
Yeah, we search. See, look, there's only 115 results for it, which is just wild. The ex FBI director has nothing you can FOIA. Isn't that a little bit suspicious? So, that
So
is just, it's
nice.
odd. Yes. Now, tied for life 18. I am so glad that somebody asked this for the Discord question of the day. So if you are in the Discord, please, guys, go submit some questions as well as for the Hive Mind finds. I go and I pull all of these stuff from the Discord for these streams. Makes it super easy for me to get the slides prepped when I can just pull it from those threads. But Tied for Life 18 had said, what's your opinion on the Palantir sign hanging up at the memorial yesterday for Charlie Kirk? It showed a quick glimpse of it while showing Trump and Vance together. Now, there was a handful of people, some of my mods, I don't know if I sent this to you, but I know that I sent it to Devil's Advocates and a couple of our mods. I was losing my mind. Literally, like, wow, that just escalated so quickly. Why is Palantir sponsoring a Charlie Kirk memorial? Now, you could say maybe that the stadium they were doing this at, well, that's a chance. But this is just iconic, isn't it?
Well,
Isn't it just remarkable?
why wouldn't it be? And as I was digging into the financials of TPUSA, a lot of, besides the big dollar donors, the sponsorships run between like 5 and 10, sometimes more, sometimes 50, like a Mike Lindell or something, or a Palantir. And so they'll pay that to get their merch and their My Pillows or their Palantir logos in the TPUSA event as advertising. But again, it's this whole memorial. I'm not surprised that this was there because the whole thing to me, and I made a TikTok about it, felt off. Like there was half of it that
Yes.
felt like a genuine funeral and people who were mourning and a spirituality about it. And then there was the people there who were there for their own reasons, which were clear. I mean, there was a clear delineation for people who were really mourning the loss of Charlie Kirk and love Charlie Kirk versus it's us versus them and we need to do this, we need to do that, and rah, rah, rah. And Trump, even with the fist, like a stump speech, the whole thing felt so off. And the other thing I noticed is even when Erica Kirk finished her speech, Trump came out, he made the speech, and then he said, Erica, come back out. Now, I don't expect a lot of emotion from President Trump because he's just not an emotional guy. But his lack of being able to grieve, even slightly look like he's grieving, is very strange. He looked like he was at the end of any rally. Pick a political rally and how it ends. That's exactly how he ends every single one. And he could barely hug her, right? And she's like looking at him, leaning on him. And he just looks so uncomfortable with emotion altogether.
Yeah, and the other thing too with oh damn it, now I just forgot what I was going to say because
I'm
you were
sorry.
talking. No, you're good. I forgot about. Okay, hang on. Think you were saying something about. Oh, you were saying his lack of emotion. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, what's interesting? I'm not trying to continuously bring up Jimmy Kimmel, right? Because at the same time, while maybe distasteful speech, whatever, it depends on what you think about it, right? But at the end of the day, he did show a clip of Donald Trump, and it was like, let's check in on President Trump. And he got asked about how he's handling Charlie Kirk's death. And it was like, I think I'm handling it really well. And then he points and he talks about the construction.
The ballroom.
And it's like, that's so weird.
I don't think, and maybe this is just me, the closest I ever saw him to real emotion was watching his son having emotion at the RNC after the Butler event. And seeing his sons emotionally react made him, I think, the closest I've ever seen him to emotional, if that's what you want to call it. It was a different Trump. Let's just put it that way. For a momentary glimpse in time, we got someone that seemed a bit more reflective, which I thought was great. I was like, maybe he needed to get shot in the ear because it's giving him a new perspective of humanity that he was clearly missing. He's a narcissist. I mean, there's no doubt about it. So narcissists need supply. He tends to get it in ways that are funny at times, no joke, he's hilarious at times, but also inappropriate at times. And I thought maybe this is a great unblocking this
Well,
Butler event if it had to happen.
right. I get your point. I get your point for sure. And I think that how I put it in my head, whether it's Trump, whether it's Obama or Bush or whoever, right? I think in general about the president and what they're probably seeing and being briefed on, I do wonder if you start to go a little bit numb to hearing about death, especially if you're in war, if you're running strikes, if you're watching things on whatever, screen where you're seeing all these operations go on. I've always wondered that because you ever see like the progression of like the president's
Oh,
hair, how gray it turns and shit. I do wonder if that was another similar kind of reaction to it for anybody.
that exactly. And this is going to bring up my point where something that I felt very strongly when I watched the Charlie Kirk murder on my phone, which was horrific, was that he was wearing a white t-shirt that said the word freedom.
Freedom. Only time he ever wore white.
And thinking about the pressures, the golden handcuffs that were placed on Charlie. Yes, he had a lot of money. Yes, he had a lot of friends and connections, and he had a lot of notoriety. He had built and hustled what you would think is your dream company, right? It's everything you worked for. So we think. Just like Trump, I've worked my whole life in this, and now I'm finally president of the United States. But these jobs, these positions, I believe come with golden handcuffs. And I believe those golden handcuffs, the longer you wear them, the more money you get, the more power you get, the more influence peddling goes on. And those golden handcuffs start to rot, decay, give you gangrene, and you want those fucking handcuffs off. And so Charlie Kirk wearing the freedom shirt and dying actually was a symbol of I'm finally free. That's
Jeez.
it. He's free. His soul. And so who does that burden go to? Who does that burden go to? It goes to Erica. And so does
Or
Erica decide she wants to take the burden on? Clearly, because the first thing she said was basically a TP USA fucking commercial.
there is a lot of oddities around the the wife's situation. I always feel weird talking about it, but I do think it has to be talked about. Not that I'm afraid to say anything. It just feels weird like saying it. And one of the things though is here's one of the themes that I want to start to lean into while we're chatting, Sammy, is like people think that we're too asleep to notice. I genuinely believe that the powers that be with Charlie Kirk's death, whether it was real, whether it was fake, whether he's cloned, whether it's symbolic, either way, it seems to be some sort of like ritual mockery operation shoved in our faces like a pie with every other like type of high profile case that happens, right? The media is rolling it out like a fumbled CIA operation per usual. It's
No,
a
but
lone wolf.
worse.
Yeah, worse. It's a lone wolf narrative. I had asked the Hive the other night during the stream, I said, if Charlie Kirk got shot and we couldn't see the news for 48 hours, and then after 48 hours, you could turn it on, what would you guess they'd say? And I said, I probably would have guessed exactly what they're rolling out in their face. It's a lone wolf narrative, probably by some young man that's distraught, that's on some sort of psychotic medication, that didn't have a lot of friends, that isn't well known. Like you could call it. You knew this is what they were going to go with.
So but this is like, so this is why I love what George, like, because I watch George Webb's lives every day too. And I've been watching obviously your lives as well too. And I like to zoom out and zoom in. So George Webb is go, 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 zoom in. He wants the team. He wants to knock down what he believes are the remnants of this rogue, which by the way, he'll know, Pat Con, it's this rogue CIA, DOD, ATF cutout that gets people to do these, I guess you could say like ROTC people, they corral them, or they get them to do these things in left wing and right wing, and they use them however they want. Patsies, assassins, doesn't matter. But it's all off the books. It's all I don't even think the directors of these organizations even know what's going on in half of these agencies, because the budget is so bloated after 9/11. Who the fuck could keep track of all these people, by the way?
And it's, to your point, everything's classified, everything's decompartmentalized, or compartmentalized rather.
Compartmentalized,
yeah, compartmentalized. Yeah. So the other thing too, that, and I'm going to get to these Hive Mind finds. I have three really good ones, and but I want to say this. I've been on X scrolling and trying to go to that platform for what I feel like is where it's not as censored, right?
Right.
And dude, the connections that Erica Kirk and her past and who she's mingled with and gone around with, I saw some guys start to say, and this might piss people off, but I'm just saying, I'm the messenger for this. A lot of people have said, did Charlie Kirk get honeypotted by his wife and her ties, and did he have her only be into her, or I'm sorry, was she only into him to get close to him, to then marry him, and to then be in on this whole thing? Because that shit's put in our face in spy movies all the time. And for God's sakes, we have government officials that are being outed on mainstream news for being honeypotted by Chinese spies. I mean, it happens.
Well, what I said to you is I saw a lot of Freemason symbolism in this. So like Freemasons believe in this tabernacle, and a tabernacle is essentially a tent. Okay. It's the tent with the Ark of the Covenant, some other crap in it, whatever, but it's a tent. Charlie Kirk was under a white tent. And I think it was either a sacrifice that was going to be known, or it was a signal or a message to whatever powers that be that we will have no more of this. And if you want to keep doing what you're doing in your organization, this is what will happen. And I believe if Erica was put in there, maybe she did fall in love with him, and maybe she had kids with him, and maybe her tune changed. According to Candace, they started going to Catholic Mass a lot more.
Right.
And maybe, but guess what? The money you take has strings. And so the piper has to be paid. When I tell you these financials, they went from $78,000 in 1 year to $400 and something thousand dollars to $2.8 million to $4.8 million to $8 million in a 5-year period. So that is a lot of strings, Birdie. And those strings come with, you better say what I want. And this is the thing that makes me so mad. We all understand this with the music industry, right? We all know that movie stars, musicians, television stars, whatever in Hollywood have this happen to them, where if you don't get in line with the messaging that's pre-approved, you're out. You're never going to work again in this industry. You're going to be flat out on your ass. Nobody's going to touch you. Smear campaign to the high heavens. Bye-bye to all your contracts. We know that exists in Hollywood. Why is it surprising that it doesn't exist in this 990, this 5013C universe of politics?
Well, and that's why I believe they do it on the front end. They make you sacrifice something or someone or some humiliation ritual on the front end so that you get it out of the way, and then you're in. And I don't know if America is ready to accept that our tax-paying dollars went to fund a CIA operation that was child trafficking in order to get blackmail on the most powerful people in the world. Are we ready to accept that as a country, that our tax dollars funded an operation through the CIA in joint collaboration with Mossad that got Epstein in the position that he did, that then led to child trafficking, human trafficking, just to get blackmail on powerful leaders all over the country so that we could have some sort of advantage over them? That's the reality of it, Hive. That's the black and white of it.
And James O'Keefe just released that lovely piece of journalism where he has somebody from the DOJ saying Trump's protecting the Clintons. We don't know why, but he's protecting not just the Clintons, but higher up people. He wasn't on the plane with kids. He was friends with Epstein. He rode on the plane. There's no doubt about that. But the guy from the DOJ said, I interviewed the victims. I read through the case file. And it was Bill Clinton on a plane where kids were being raped. That's what they said.
Yeah. And Chris, this is what I say. This is a contrarian thinking live stream. If you're offended or rattled on behalf of others, this isn't going to be the stream for you. I don't think anybody's disrespected a woman. I would say Erica Kirk has a very sketchy strings attached to the past, and the behavior has been odd. So I'm not trying to call you out, Chris, but when you say comments like that, this is the problem, is that then you have somebody like this, which I'm trying to be very respectful. Let me finish, Sammy. Yeah. I'm trying to be very respectful of Chris. And it's like, you're heartbroken over this. Everybody's heartbroken over it. A man's life got taken. But if there is something sketchy that's going on in the background, the people have a right to know, because it was put in our face and now we're being lied to. So yes, you could say you're disappointed that you allow people to disrespect a woman who just lost her husband. Well, you should be disappointed that maybe our government set this man up to get taken out in front of his wife. Sorry.
And honestly, I don't want people to think I'm attacking her for no reason. It's just, if we don't learn the lesson from 9/11 that they want us vulnerable in certain areas, so we think we can't touch it. After 9/11, we could not say certain things for so long. We could not bring up Building 7. You were not American if you weren't going along with this Middle East. What the hell did Iraq have to do with anything? But you had to be on board, or you weren't American. How dare you question this? And I'm not saying I don't believe her grief is not real. I'm just saying her past is a little bizarre to me. The fact that she said, I saw him in Israel and I thought I knew him. I was with my mother. I thought I knew him. So I went up to him, but I didn't say anything. And then I applied for this. So she got herself involved in his life by applying for a job interview.
Yeah. And you know, the other thing too, I'm not trying to just crash out here. And Chris, this is not just because of your comment. I'm trying to address it in a way, but what I've learned since I've started doing this is that if you just ignore that type of stuff, if you just ignore it, and sometimes you just take the high road and you just let it go, and in your gut you're not being disrespectful, those type of comments, they don't just go away. People then take it as an easy opportunity to be like, oh, they're not going to say anything. I start every stream with a literal disclaimer that is saying, if you're rattled or offended on behalf of others, and you could say, oh, I know that woman. Oh, I know this. Okay. Again, I'm sorry. Erica Kirk is not the first person. She will not be the last person to experience trauma in her life. Okay. She was married to a prominent man who was murdered in front of the entire country, that got hundreds of millions of views on social media. And it's now the #1 thing that's being talked about in the world. So to say that the little old Hive is being disrespectful, I'm sorry, that's bullshit. And I don't like having to do this. I don't like having to do it. But I got a bunch of other people that are just they don't, if you don't understand what the Hive is, like, you got to understand it. This is how people talk. Okay. People that want the truth talk this way. And if you don't want the truth, then okay.
I agree with you. And I think too, like I said, when I saw that the actual physical event itself with him dying in a Freedom t-shirt, then my thought went to, so who is this burden getting passed on to? Because he was burdened, guys. He was burdened. He was pressured. He had pressure. All of this, all of these financials I've been reading that I had my uncle, a CPA accountant, look at before the show. So I'm like reading all these financials. The pressure of these donations, okay, come with so many strings. And you could say that he could blow it off or he could do this. But now every year he's in charge. The salaries, the people he has to hire, everything, the liability, it goes up, up, up. The games and the stakes get higher and higher. So in my opinion, every time you want to say, I want to reach and I want to climb higher, you're accepting money to climb higher. And you think that those donations don't come with strings, but they do. And Charlie was starting to realize those donations come with strings. And it doesn't matter if, and I'm not saying it's just about Israel. I'm saying it's about Ukraine. I'm saying it's about anti-war sentiment, because
Dude, it could be about the
at the end of
CEO
the
from a
day,
company.
Democrat or Republican, they're both voting us into war every fucking time and twice on Sunday.
Okay. All right. I'm going to get through these Hive Mind finds. Then we're going to get to the financials because that shit's mind blowing.
Yeah.
So
Wait, play the ladies clip first, and then we'll do the financials.
yeah, I have them in order. I'm going to go through these 3 slides. This is crazy. Not an NPC. This is a top dog Hive Mind find just because of my own personal, like, what do I geek out about when it comes to looking into stuff and going down rabbit holes? The Q drops like really scratch. They really scratched that itch for me. But you got to think about this. Q had posted how many coincidences before mathematically impossible. It was over before it began. And then you have the surgeon or the quote from it saying his bone was so healthy and the density was so impressive that it's like he's a man of steel. And then you see Tyler Robinson and he's right next to a freaking Superman poster.
You want to know what? Should Charlie Kirk be like, I could picture it in like, those Fox News, like I take like those stupid commercials with those vitamins that they promote like every other day, like bones of steel. What are those veggie fruit bites? What the hell are you talking about? Like,
well, see, this is where it's like, this is like some sick, dark humor, but you think about how, like, we had the 8 hours of sleep instead of 8-hour energy for Dylan, where it's like, sleep through a quadruple murder. You could have like some sort of Man of Steel, like stop a 30-06 with your neck, allegedly. Like, it's just ridiculous. This is one of those things.
Prove me wrong.
Yeah, prove me wrong. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. And this is just an insane coincidence. I don't believe that, like, I don't know the whole picture of him surfacing and Candace breaking that. And then there's Superman in the background. They say Man of Steel. It correlates with the Q post. That's why I have Superman saying, what the fuck? Because what is going on? So it's obviously just one of those things where, yeah.
Did you see the thing with the Illuminati game? Okay.
The card game. Yeah.
The card game. So that again, too, like, why is this weird? Now, I think you can be looking for coincidences. Like, I think there gets to a point where it's like, okay, everything somewhat ties into everything because we've all been on this planet for so long. We're all going to have a tie to something. I mean, there's just history rhymes in a lot of ways. There's just no denying it. Now, how much of this rhyming is organic and how much of this rhyming is force-fed, that's to be determined.
The whole thing, though, Sammy, it's hard because I still fight with myself, even in my head, when I'm like, okay, is it wrong to say, I don't believe that a human's neck could stop a 30-06 when it takes down an elk at 400 yards and shatters its bone? And it's way more dense because, newsflash, elk and moose get up to 1,000 pounds, everybody. Their bone density is way more than a human being. So to think that a vertebrae stopped a 30-06 round, which again, I showed the images of what the size comparison is of even just from a 5.56, which is what Marines and a lot of soldiers will go and use and fight with. And you've seen the damage that does to a body. A 30-06 taking down a moose, and it stops in his neck. They call him a Man of Steel. I'm sorry, you shouldn't be able to hijack the miracle narrative for your own gain for people to stop asking questions. I don't feel bad about saying that. I'm sorry. There's miracles, which, don't get me wrong, that could be, but I don't even think that Charlie Kirk was hit with a 30-06. I think, and I have something that shows this on the next slide, I think exactly what this video shows, and I will go full screen and then we will talk about it. It's a short video, Sammy, so I'll let it play all the way through. It's 3 minutes. Why does this happen?
Tyler Robinson didn't kill Charlie Kirk.
I've seen this, yeah.
Charlie Kirk's Israeli security.
All right. Third time's the charm.
Tyler Robinson didn't kill Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk's Israeli security.
Okay. Here we go. Let's refresh the page. Why is that happening? Sorry about that, Hive. Technical difficulties.
Can I just say, I don't like, it would be a miracle if you would have survived, but so this wasn't a miracle. This is a lie.
It's a lie. It's a miracle that this many people believe it.
I can't believe that was even a statement put out there. Like I said, when we get to the video, the clip that I'm going to post, like, it's so in our face. It's so
This video shows it
embarrassing.
good. This is crazy, guys. I really hope that this loads.
Tyler Robinson didn't kill Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk's Israeli security detail killed Charlie Kirk, and Charlie Kirk's assassin is caught on tape. Blake Bednar has brought us this video. We'll break it down. Take a look at this. Here it is from the wide angle. Watch Charlie Kirk's right side of his t-shirt. Watch the lavalier lapel mic. Do you see it explode? Let's bring it in just a little bit closer. Watch this. Put it in a freeze frame. That is the explosion from Charlie Kirk's lavalier lapel mic. Want to see it again? Bring it in closer. Remember when we told you that that was absolutely an exit wound? Yeah, it is. Check the trajectory of the round that was deployed from that lavalier lapel mic. That went directly from Charlie Kirk's lapel. That went directly from underneath Charlie Kirk's white t-shirt up through his neck and created the exit wound that we told you was an exit wound immediately when we saw that exit wound. First, we had exploding pagers. Now we have exploding mics. Do you remember the vector analysis from John Bray? That proves that all of the activity came from the mic that Charlie Kirk was wearing. Remember the palm gun guy in the brown shirt, that shadowy looking guy with the sunglasses? Yeah, he pushes the detonator. Clear as day.
Gang violence. Great.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
That's the assassin. That's the guy that pushes the detonator, which perfectly aligns with the explosion that pushes that projectile through Charlie's right side of his neck and out the left side, creating the exit wound.
Here's the handoff.
Yep.
That might just look like the chaos that you would expect after someone was publicly executed in broad daylight in front of 3,000 people. But in no way did that trigger man, that assassin in the brown shirt with the sunglasses, act alone. We have video now from Destiny that shows the handoff of this remote detonator.
And then he pretends to care.
Yep.
We had John Cullen on the program last week, and he made a great point about ballistic acoustics being altered to hide the location of the real shooter. Well, the same can be said to distract from the fact that there was no shooter. Tyler Robinson did not kill Charlie Kirk. This guy, brown shirt guy, he's the assassin.
Oh, way. If you want security, the Israelis know what they're doing.
Now,
Sure they do.
now let me just say this. That video that got broke by Blake Bednares or whoever he had said, that video came out less than 36 hours ago because he paid for this. He paid for this footage. That dude paid for this footage right here where he was able to zoom in. He found somebody who was there and he bought this footage off of them. Okay. So everybody that was saying the palm gun guy looks sus and then it's coming from that angle, it really does seem to be that we're right. And then you see the handoffs, you see the guy jump over the table, grab the lapel, pass something off. And again, Tyler
Robinson didn't kill Charlie.
A very simple way. Oh shit, Sammy's backstage. Sorry, Sammy. I was going to say the very simple way of looking at it is that, oh, he was handing off the keys to the SUV, or oh, he was doing this, or oh, it's just he's adjusting his shirt. It's like, guys, you can't have all of it. And I would not be surprised. Like, this is what George Webb and I talked about. Who's to say that Tyler Robinson, they started the footage 5 seconds late. They could have clearly had him in the line of sight, getting down in the prone position, taking the shot. Let's just say, let's do this one speculation. Let's say that Tyler did have a gun Let's say it wasn't the 30-06. Let's say it was collapsible into a backpack. Who's to say he didn't fire a blank? And that causes confusion as to where the shot came from. He's down in the bullet and it echoes. Who's to say that they weren't on a timing? Who's to say that? Then you have George Zinn stand up and yell.
That's why I believe Webb's on the right path with nailing this rogue entity that's being called or being like, what's the word I'm looking for? Organized by the ATF or the CIA or the FBI, where they're grabbing these people, training these people in these secret ops, like a Tyler Robinson, like what's the fucking guy who just Ruth, that guy who just got convicted today in Florida for trying to assassinate Trump on the golf course. Who's to say that? I believe is true. But here's the larger part. You say that the blank or the whatever is the distraction, okay? But look at what they did on 9/11. They threw planes into a building to distract us from detonating the fucking thing.
It's crazy.
They detonated that building, okay? That building did not come down because a plane flew into it. I'm sorry, allegedly. I don't want anybody to get sued, but no way. So if they're willing to use that as a decoy, imagine this. This is so much less than this.
Yes. And you know what's interesting? Every time that we show videos like this that make a compelling argument, isn't it odd? You see everything right there. You see the initial impact. You see the people surrounding him. You see him fall. You see the people that were surrounding him jump over, grab stuff, and do certain behaviors. Right? We see all that. We don't see Tyler Robinson on the damn roof shoot the gun. We don't see anything. So this video, for everybody that's saying like, oh, it might be a stretch or this. No. Okay, here's the biggest giveaway. They don't show us Tyler Robinson doing anything.
Who's
Nothing.
to say he wasn't waiting for a signal, didn't get the signal, and then saw what happened and goes, oh shit, and just booked it?
Right. Well, exactly. Who's to say that he wasn't just told? Yes. Who's to say that he wasn't just told to go up on that roof and when he hears the shot to run and sprint away and rendezvous somewhere else? Right.
Who's
I'm
to
sorry.
say he
This is
thought
a
that
coordinated plan.
Charlie Kirk, what if he was taught? What if he was told Charlie Kirk is involved with this? They're worried about political assassinations. We're running a training. So you're going to pretend to fire at him. Okay. And we're going to see what the crowd does and react like a psyop. Okay. And he thought, I know I'm shooting a blank, so it's fine. We'll see what the crowd does. Charlie Kirk's wearing a blood thing. It'll be fine. And then he actually realizes what happened. So he thinks he's doing a training exercise and goes to Dairy Queen.
Yeah,
and then realizes, holy shit, I'm looking at a TV screen in Dairy Queen and he's actually dead.
Yeah, imagine literally about to like take a bite of like your Oreo cheesecake blizzard and you like look up and you're just like, holy shit, that's me. Like, who knows? But I can tell you this. They've been doing this for a very long time. The magic bullet BS with JFK. They've done it with 9/11. They've done it so many times. They did it with Brian Koberger, for God's sakes. Think about that. Think about that. You don't see him. You don't got his car. You don't got his license plate. You can't put him in the car. You didn't have a connection to the victims. We've not seen the sheath. And look at what the country has literally all convicted him of. Nothing. Or they with nothing.
And on top of it, Brian Koberger was in the law enforcement program helping them through WSU. And he even said, the first thing he said to the detective, do you know me? Do you recognize me? I worked for blah, blah, blah. He was doing stuff for the police department. What was he working on exactly? We're not entirely sure because they pretended that they didn't know who he was.
Has anybody else noticed this? And if I've missed this, please correct me. So outside of no clear footage, do we have any reliable witnesses of Tyler Robinson? Has anybody come out and said that they've seen him? Because I don't think so.
Candace Owens, the only one who she got is she actually got in touch with the video of that you're talking about where they're setting up the shot. And it's literally a second before Charlie Kirk gets shot. You see, and he goes, hey, there's somebody on the roof. Well,
but that's not the right building.
Well, that's what I'm saying is probably more than one person. And he also said that he was wearing tactical gear, that person. So he said it's definitely not Tyler Robinson, the person that he shot on the roof in
Right.
position. So
Right.
I don't know who was the kid swinging off the building like Kung Fu Panda and I don't know, decided he needed a blizzard.
Like, and also, okay, now let's quick flip it from who perpetrated the crime to Charlie. Okay, where is the autopsy? Right? Where is the autopsy?
Mhm.
Where is the footage of him arriving at the hospital? We've got more footage of a damn rover on Mars allegedly than this.
Well,
How
I think this is another just like the Idaho 4. Where's the times of death scientifically? Where's the autopsies? Why was this all hush hush that we can't know the scientific times of death,
And-
that we can't know the autopsy reports? We literally have autopsy reports of Kobe Bryant, for Christ's sakes.
And does see this is where I feel like at times there's people that are going to understand what I'm about to say right now, and there's people that this is going to go right over their head. But I'm going to say it, and I'm not surprised that there was another massive shooting shortly after this occurred.
No,
I'm not surprised. It's very similar to the lone wolf narrative. I would have guessed it would have been a guy like I was laying out in the stream that didn't have many friends, nobody really knew him, loner. And I'm not surprised that there's something that's trying to eat up the news cycle of a different shooting now.
Well,
I'm not.
and it has to have similar characteristics. So it has the casings that say
Yes.
fuck ICE and Nazis and anti-fascists, that sort of far crazy Antifa language, okay? So in the similar vein, much like, wasn't it weird after 9/11, all of a sudden all these terror plots started springing up around the United States? So your county or your city would be in orange, red, yellow for the day. Oh, we just busted a terror plot in Lackawanna. We forgot to tell you that we've been trying to goad them into this for a year. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, don't you think it's a little strange after 9/11? All of a sudden, these homegrown terror plots were just springing up out of everywhere. Now, all of a sudden, we have all these shooters that are writing all the same sort of messaging on their bullets.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like they're creating the trend. They're creating the trend that everyone's trying to stop. They're putting it out there. And to move on to the last Hive Mind find, this comes from January Angel Blue. I thought this was interesting. The first picture is Charlie being carried to the SUV. The second is a close-up of his arm. And I swear it looks like he has a tattoo, and Charlie doesn't have a tattoo here. Now, it is a little bit blurry. I'll zoom in here.
I can't.
It is a little bit blurry right here. People would say, oh, is that blood or mud or whatever? But it's also like, guys, I'm telling you, Charlie, I feel like Charlie would have been leaking the entire way on that concrete, noticeably, visibly. People's arms would have been dripping in his blood by the way that they were carrying him like that. I genuinely believe that. So I don't know if that's a tattoo. I don't know if that's dirt or if it's mud. Maybe it is blood. But in general, I'm not sure. But I just thought it was a good screen grab. So thank you to January Angel Blue for sending that in. And now we're going to get to this because this goes right in line with the mockery. And I'm going to let this play, Sammy, and then it's only like a minute, I think, a minute and a half. And then I'll let you kind of take the floor on this.
Okay.
This is a theater where you're making it up as you go. And as you see how the audience reacts, you change the story and you evolve the story and you create the story. This is a theater production. But the important thing to understand about that theater is that in this case, I'm seeing something I've never seen before. And that is when they do this kind of theater, and when I say they, I mean the intelligence agencies. When they engineer a theater like this, they always, they like to mock the crowd. I have never seen the mockery this extreme. This is different. This is new. It's a joke. It's a joke that you would say, we have a manifesto, but it disappeared, but we know it existed and we think we might be able to get it. It's like, what are you talking? I mean, no experienced enforcement person would say that, could possibly say that with a straight face. I mean, it's a mockery, but then, it turns out he's got a roommate. The roommate is trans. They were lovers, but he told his lover, before this, and he did it on this, and and so they keep adding pieces to the story of who the alleged assassin is that make it more and more ridiculous and more and more
Right.
ridiculous. And every time,
Right.
and it's a way of
Right.
mocking at the audience that they.
So she's a very smart woman.
Yep.
Catherine Fitz is very smart. People have said
Mhm.
she's been on Tucker before. I think she
Yep.
laid that out really good by saying they being the intelligence agencies.
Yeah.
I'll pause there, Sammy, but the word mockery and how she used it, I don't know about you, but it hits you. It's like, yeah, they're effing mocking us.
They are mocking us. And the way that she brought up how the intensity of the mocking has really just crystallized in such a fundamentally fuck you way. It's enraging, but it's also kind of interesting how this level of mockery and this level of community that I don't think they realize we have online, just like the Hive or George Webb or any of these Candace, you're not going to get away with this like you did on 9/11. And this is where the Tucker clip comes in, because this is what I want the Hive Mind to consider when we're hearing certain things. I also think the Hive Mind is a frame of mind where we want to learn our lessons from the last bad experiences we have. We want to realize our own vulnerabilities and how we're susceptible to certain things, and how just general politeness in society and how we are as people, like, they prey upon that because they know the goodness in us and they use it against us to mock us and keep us apart and thinking these narratives, and don't go looking under this rock. It's not respectable to do that.
And they pull on the emotional heartstrings every time, because it'll
Every
make you
time.
question, are you a bad person for saying, hey, I've been to some funerals. I've seen what a grieving widow looks like. This seems a little bit weird. This doesn't seem necessarily like a memorial. It seems like a rally. And it seems like there are people that are there for their own gain. This doesn't seem like remembering Charlie Kirk the entirety of the time. Like you said, I think you summed it up really well. About half of it. There was some moving moments. Don't get me wrong, but it switched. There was like a switch that got flipped, and then it was like, boom! This is a full-on rally.
I felt in both times with Erica Kirk's speeches where that switch went this, that, where I was like crying at parts and moved at parts. But then all of a sudden, I have that guttural trigger of, you're selling me something.
Yes.
And you took this burden on. He's free. He's dead, but he's free. He no longer is burdened by those golden handcuffs, but you are, and you decided to take that on. Now, is that something that she was forced to take on? Was that something she willingly knew was going to happen and took it on? I don't know.
It's very strategic mind control with the don't disrespect the dead, right? That's what it is. But it's so interesting because nobody here is intending to disrespect somebody's wife or their dead person, right? Of course not, because we're good people. We're asking a question because at the end of the day, this has happened so many times. This is a full-on, we're cooked if we don't come together. Like I saw somebody in the chat, I think it might have been misinformation or misanonymous, one of the two, had said, are the right and the left ever going to come together to defeat the 1%? I don't have hope for that. And I'm not trying to be a pessimist. I'm a very positive person. I don't have hope for it because I think there are too many people on both sides that are overly digging their heels in my opinion, on issues that have been made to divide us for the entirety of it until we stop caring about the issues and caring about, no, we're the people against the powers. We can sort out the issues and the differences later. We need to come together. And nobody can get that through their thick skulls, it sounds like.
I sent you, this is perfect that you just said that. So on your Google Drive, I sent you the Whitney Webb clip, and it is exactly what you like crystallized this so perfectly. I can't even believe you just said that.
The Whitney Webb clip didn't load.
I just sent it to you again.
Oh, okay, perfect. Cool. I will pull that up right now. And
I love Whitney Webb, by the way.
While I'm doing that, I just want to say thank you to Carol H for the super chat. Constance B, you rock. BYOB hereafter known as Bring Your Own Birdie. I like that. I could get behind that. And Blue Eyed Candy, thank you so much. You said, or Blue Eyed Candy said, this stuff is getting to be so heavy and constant. Feels like we are being purposefully desensitized. I find myself wanting to turn away from this chaos. I've personally felt that too. Have you, Sammy?
I felt a visceral reaction to this. So I don't think I'm completely desensitized, but I think I'm more aware. I saw the information warfare from the beginning, and I was like, nope, not doing it.
What do you mean? Like,
I'm not plugging into this both sides, either or, pick your own adventure bullshit for who you want to be mad at for this. When I think there's a bigger picture. And so to condense it down into these stupid Vince McMahon like setups, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's essentially what it is. It's WWE night every fucking week in America.
Exactly. And all right, I got this clip pulled up here. Let me just get it on the screen.
Who's bad mouthing Phoenix? I'll be so pissed.
What was that?
Somebody in the chat said something about bad mouthing Phoenix. Nobody better bad mouth her around here. I love Phoenix.
All right, let me get this back up on screen. All right, here we go.
Felt deserved it, whatever that means. And of course, before Trump was in office, his family's finances were managed by Larry Fink, and he appointed Larry Fink to his business council and definitely is a big fan of Larry. I just want to chime in really quick. So part of what we're talking about here, part of the way to like defeat this apparatus that as Mark referred to it, so much of what they do, including like their media ops in efforts to control discourse, but also just like getting people to onboard to stuff when they otherwise wouldn't, it all runs on fear, right? And like all the stuff that happened during COVID, people fell in line because of fear. It's all fear-based, pretty much everything they do. A great way to not fall into that is not be afraid of these people, no matter what psyop they throw at you. And I think this year, election year, not just in the US, but in much of the world, unprecedented fear-based psyops are going to be coming one after the other until they get enough people to comply and acquiesce. And the way to get around that is to not fall into it. It's the trap, and a lot of it is the media discourse. And I think, the more controlled online discourse becomes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I think the last one's the Tucker one, yeah.
Yep.
To allow for the fact that you don't understand your own motives. And so you're a young parent with 3 kids, like maybe I'm afraid I can't pay my mortgage if I get, whatever. There's that. They're probably venal reasons. But consciously, I'm being as honest as I can be, I didn't feel any of that. I wasn't like, oh, I must conform or I will, go bankrupt. I was very upset about 9/11. They took my emotions and the emotions of hundreds of millions of other Americans and leveraged them against us and used them to control us. And I see this with October 7th, it was like horrifying event. Like foreign fighters come in your country and kill people at a music festival. It's like, it's the nightmare scenario actually. Yes. And as a parent of like kids who could be at a music festival, it's like, I got emotional seeing that. But that emotion is used by unscrupulous politicians to subvert your actual interests. And you certainly see that with October 7th, but you saw it in this country with my media, and I participated in unknowingly with 9/11. Like I lost a friend on 9/11. It happened, I lived in Washington, the Pentagon got hit. I mean, you really felt like things were falling apart. I remember going to a gas station right after was on the phone with my editor in New York when the second plane hit. He lived downtown in Tribeca. And so the whole thing, it just felt so personal and real. And I remember going and gassing up our Suburban at the gas station. There was my neighbor gassing up his Suburban, and he's like, we're doing it for the same reason. Look, we may need to run. Every person felt this. Every adult, particularly every parent at the time, felt that. So you were legit afraid. Legit. Like as Israelis felt after October 7th, we felt after 9/11. I get it. And that emotion blinded me and dulled my critical thinking to the point where I couldn't see certain things. And it was only what was it, almost exactly 2 years later when I went to Iraq, that I realized, oh my gosh, I was lied to. I participated in the lying. I didn't mean to, but I did. And that's when I resolved, I'm never doing that again. I'm never going to allow myself to get so fearful, angry, whatever, that, bouillabaisse of emotions, that I can't think straight and that I wind up parroting lies that hurt people. So that really,
which is a good take from Tucker, because I've kind of came at him a little bit from the standpoint of like, I don't get how you're in the systems media for 30 years and then you just wake up out of it. But the way that he describes it there was like, he felt it 2 years after and he said, I'm not going to, do whatever. And I do think we have to understand there's a human aspect to these anchors. They
I
might go on
believe the
there.
9/11 lie for a long time. I fully supported give them whatever they want to get these people. Another terror plot, taking this down. We're code red. I remember panicking flying the first time after 9/11. And it was like, we're in orange or something. And I was like looking at people so skeptically for no reason, because they scared the shit out of us.
Right.
They did it during COVID. And that's when I woke up and I was like, this vulnerability is not going to be used. I'm not afraid of my neighbor. I'm not afraid of a Democrat. I'm not afraid of a Republican. We need to come together and call out this bullshit. And by the way, make them stop.
Yes, I'm glad you just said that. And so that was the point that I was going to finish with, was there is a human aspect to all of these anchors. They have to get a paycheck. They have families. They have something they have to provide for. So, it's not to say that there's not a line in the sand that everybody has where they're like, I won't say that on air. Like, I would lose my job over not saying something. I get that people have that. How far is that line? It's up for debate. And you see it in these situations. And to Hood Fairy, thank you so much for the 1999 super chat. That rocks. TikTok OG Hiver, Hood Fairy. I remember thinking that name was like such a cool and like random username on TikTok. And Nicole D said, late to the party tonight. Hi, Hive. Hi, Birdie. Charlie Kirk's assassination changed me as a human being personally. I don't see how anyone can possibly believe the story that we were being fed.
We are.
Well said, Nicole.
Nobody is.
Thank you.
And I think this is another, well, again, we're at this standoff and who blinks first. But at this point, I really feel like the next person who runs for president, if they say we're not making AIPAC register for FARA and we're done paying for the Israeli defense and we're done with these foreign conflicts, we have the leader who had a $10 million bounty on his head from Al-Qaeda shaking hands with General Petraeus in a slob kebab fest, because now he's the leader of Syria and he's changed his name and put on a fucking Gucci suit. And we're supposed to be like, forget about that whole terrorist garb and let's just all be, this is fine. It's fine. What?
Well, it's very interesting, because I love the quote that anybody who wants to be president shouldn't be allowed to be president. Right.
I agree. That's what I thought this was supposed to be, but apparently not.
And the other thing is that I would be very curious if we got career politicians out, which again, there might be some people in the Hive that are like, but none of us are going to understand how to do anything. No, they've made it complicated. They've made it complex. The government was meant to be public servants that came in, you ran for 4 to 8 years or whatever the term length was. And then you got out, you went back to doing what you did. You served your community and you got out. This, I believe, is the way to fix it. The way to fix it is to have normal, everyday people go and serve for an allotted amount of time and do the best that they can. It doesn't have to be all complex and complicated and all this CIA classified black budget operations going on and blah, 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 and all this national security. I'm sorry. I believe that is what they've constructed so that what I just suggested now is impossible to ever have happen, because you're right. Birdie, should not be able to get into an office and say, I have 4 to 8 years here and have access to F-15 Falcon fighter jets, the nuclear football, all that stuff, because it's gotten so exacerbated and so extreme that it's almost like the everyday man, the everyday common person, the everyday woman, they can't go and do that. They can't.
I know what all this shows us too, by the way, every single one of these events that's meant to divide us or make us vulnerable and emotional and fight with each other. It also shows that the president doesn't actually run anything. He's controlled. there's controllers in every country. They control the EU, they control America. We're living in some sort of oligarchy. I don't know, some sort of lengthy project of control that is just so apparent to me now. And I don't know how we get out of it. I mean, we did have a revolution, sort of.
Well, the first thing that we have to do is we have to rise above this like emotional programming. Whatever that is, we have to rise above what you were describing with 9/11, what the clip on the stream just said. You know, earlier in the stream when I was talking to the Chris person, we have to rise above that emotional programming, okay? Because if the system is able to, what's a good word for it, trigger you, they can control you.
Yeah, I agree with you. We have to quit the emotional programming, and I think we're there. Like, we're getting there, which is great, because we're having these dialogue, we're having these conversations. We have the Hive, and we have a lot of other places that we can go to for this sort of content, which I think is breaking that emotional, vulnerable attachment. But then the next thing we have to do, truthfully, is we have to break the monetary system. The way they're breaking the dollar with bricks, I think we should do in our own country and find our own way to say, fuck it. We're not using your currency. We're going to locally trade amongst ourselves.
Yes.
We're going to have things $1 for $1. It's not going to be a piece of paper. It's going to be something we value in our own communities, and we could do whatever the fuck we want. If this store in my local community decides they want to take this as currency, great. We need to get rid of this hoax speculation currency, which is running us into the goddamn ground.
Well, exactly. And I have a couple things to say about that. The first thing, in addition to the emotional programming and having parallel systems, is we also have to stop apologizing for speaking the truth. Okay. Truth is not hateful. Truth is not extreme. I would argue that truth is the only antidote to this psychotic lunacy that we're being fed, is the truth. So stop apologizing for speaking your truth, speaking the truth. And it's just, remember, you're not being hateful. You're not being extreme. The truth is the truth.
I agree with that. And we also not only not apologize, but be able to give the grace when people pivot and have the realization. Might come late, might come way later than we'd like. Even in our own selves, give people the grace to be able to change their minds and welcome them with open arms. If it seems like an honest change of heart and they're seeing things clearly and they want to have this type of discussion.
And one of the first things too that we're going to have to realize, I believe, if this parallel system starts, Sammy, is that there's going to be inconvenience. Our convenient lives that we have of going to the gas station and tapping a debit card and not having to go in and pay cash and then get cash back. Think about this. Okay. If I hand you $100 bill, you now have the $100 bill, right? And then you're free to go do that with its entirety because it's cash. By me paying with a debit card or a credit card, the bank gets a processing fee. And then let's even say that I Venmo it to you. Venmo gets a processing fee. And then you go and you use it at the gas station. They get a processing fee. And then the gas station takes it and they go buy gas with it. They get a processing fee. Soon, that $100 is actually zero. It's all at the banks. That's not okay. That is how they've accumulated the wealth, through the convenience. Okay. I used to get annoyed when I would get behind older people that would pay with cash. I've stopped doing that in the last 5-6 years because I've realized, well, their money, at least what they're giving them, is going to stay that, right? And
I had old Sicilian grandparents. They didn't believe in banks. They hid money all over their house. They paid for everything in cash. They put their house, when they built their house, cash. When they couldn't have floors, we used to wear slipper socks till they could pay for their hardwood floors. Cash. Everything cash. If we get rid of cash, I don't know what the hell is going to happen, but it's coming.
So let's move on. Speaking of like finances and money and stuff, I'll put this full screen so people can see it. I'll move us over here. Do you want to explain what we're looking at here, Sammy?
Okay. Yeah. So we're looking at the 2014. So from 2013 to 2014 is when Charlie Kirk got a huge bump in money. So he went from making $78,000 to $2,349 that year in donations. That's the total revenue. Now, you add the total expenses and losses. So expenses would be things like computers, cars, hotels. They travel a lot at that time. They didn't really have like an office. So you minus $1 million off of that. Okay, you can go to like the next slide. I don't know what's next.
Oh, wait, where did the other picture go? This one?
Okay, you can go to the next one. I was just showing you that it's the 2014.
That's the one that I have. Then I have these two.
Uh-oh, hold on. I just got a text message. Hold on. This isn't good. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Give me a call as soon as you can. It's about Rick.
I
have to go.
Okay. I hope everything's okay, Sammy.
All right, I'll let you
All right.
know.
All
All
right,
right, bye
bye.
guys.
Yep. Okay, well, hopefully everything's okay with Sammy T. That is always not a fun or delightful text to get at all when somebody says, call me right away. So hopefully everything on that end is all right. Okay, so I guess I can't really speak too much on these forums. That was Sammy's shtick tonight, but I will say this. And I'll tie it back to Palantir. I heard an interesting stat today about Palantir, and that's that. Let's see if anybody knows this. How many years do you guys think Palantir went before they turned a profit? How many years did Palantir go without turning a profit? Curious if anybody knows this. All right. There's a couple of people that are close. This is the closest that I've seen so far. It is not 69 years, UFO dog. So they went 17 years without turning a profit. 17 years. And that's where I was going with it, Sherlock. Palantir wasn't originally made to turn a profit. The CIA created it under their supervision and paid for everything at the beginning. Correct. Now, the enterprise value of Palantir as of today is $419.2 billion. Now, I'm also so glad that you said that, Chrissy. But you guys got to think about it. So I bring that up with the Charlie Kirk money because I was talking with Sammy T backstage about the massive spike in income. And I do believe that your income, if you are going to be some sort of public facing figure on that level, I think the inevitable spike, the crazy jump, that's not suspicious to me. Do you guys think it is? I would equate it to like before the NIL and college athletes where you could get paid for name, image, and likeness. You'd go from, your scholarship or whatever your like allowance was to, wow, now you get a $30 million signing bonus. That's how I would think of this almost as. Whether TPUSA struck some big deal with a donation or with an investor, he's raised obviously over hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't think that anybody would be in charge of that, not making millions of dollars, especially when you're the face of it. I think I heard something like Joe Rogan when he was doing Fear Factor, and it was the number 4 show in the country, was salaried at $2 or $3 million a season. So that was back however long ago. So I don't think that it's that sus. I'm somebody who, a little bit of my personal opinion will kind of leak in here on the tax loopholes. And that is, those loopholes, if we're going to be pissed at people, we should be pissed at the politicians who left those loopholes open so that their donors could donate to them. And then they'll come after the little guy for pulling those off. Not even Charlie Kirk, just anybody. it's like those loopholes are left there so that their donors don't have to pay taxes. So that's my opinion on it. I don't think that it's that crazy when you actually use something you can use to not pay taxes. I think sometimes people maybe internalize that and they're like, well, that's unfair. I have to pay taxes. Well, of course, we're going to pay taxes because we don't have the access to the resources to, sustain paying somebody to go look for those loopholes. And so that was just that's kind of my own personal take. And I'm going to get into the tinfoil hat conspiracy of the day, which is how many people here, type of one if you knew this, how many people knew that during Prohibition, the United States government poisoned alcohol as a way to sway people to stop drinking? Anybody know that? And this wasn't discovered or outed for years later. There is still a New York Times article that is up, but the full scope came to light in 2010 when the New York Times ran an article titled, quote, "The Chemist's War." It was written by Deborah Blum, who's a Pulitzer Prize winning science journalist. She dug through historical records and government documents and confirmed the program's scope, intentions, and fatal results. This was more than just a bad idea. It was a policy of terror. Quote, "Frustrated that people continued to consume so much alcohol, federal officials had decided the best way to halt the carnage was to kill some of the drinkers." So let's call it what it is. What do you call it when the government uses a known lethal substance to intentionally kill its own civilians? Well, that's domestic chemical warfare, state-sponsored mass murder, or flat on its face, it's an American war crime. And to this day, it never is taught in schools when we learn about Prohibition. It's never discussed in polite company, and there's zero official recognition or apology for it. And what they had done was they put a certain, I believe it was a pesticide, and I'll get the name of it. And what's interesting is that this would lead to things that are still common sayings when it comes to booze. So they use methanol. Okay. It's highly toxic. Do you guys know how people would say that moonshine will make you go blind? You guys heard that? That moonshine's so strong, it's going to make you go blind. It has nothing to do with the strength of the booze. People could say, oh yeah, it might like blur your vision, but it really caught on because methanol was being put into the certain chemicals that people were using to make moonshine. So they weren't going and like injecting bottles. They were putting it in the raw goods that were needed to distill your own liquor. They'd put benzene in it. They'd put chloroform. But essentially, they wanted to teach people a lesson. Not to just stop drinking. They really wanted to make it hurt. They wanted to make it deadly. They wanted to make an example. And how many people, Hive, do you think that they killed from doing this? This is only just the estimated recorded, this is just the recorded estimate, rather. How many people do you think died before they stopped this? And I'll let some of the answers come in. It can't be 6,900 UFO dog. You got to leave your phone on the counter. That's exactly right, Kyler. It was 10,000 to 15,000 people may have died from tainted alcohol. That's just the recorded estimate. So what does this tell us? Well, the government's willing to kill you to teach you a lesson. Mass poisoning will be justified and then forgotten about with the right propaganda and education system. And the state would rather weaponize toxins than admit a policy failure. But there's still the same mentality today. We have toxic food systems. We have poisoned water. We have chemtrails that they say, quote, are safe, just like we have safe injections. We have accidental spills. They've been poisoning us for decades, sometimes subtly, sometimes with full intention. The only difference now is they've gotten better at hiding it. So who knows? A lot of people speculate, too, that this was a test. This was a social engineering blueprint. The poisoned alcohol was the lethal enforcement arm of bureaucratic tyranny. So I think that shit's crazy. That's one of the wilder ones. That's true. And I hope everything with Sammy's all right. I have an exciting announcement too. Okay. I wanted to do this live at the end because while this is exciting, and this is not the life-changing announcement that I've been waiting to tell everybody. This is just more of a channel direction. So if you're watching this in the replay, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. But for right now in the Hive, what I'm going to start doing for my own sanity, I'm going to always do the live streams. Those are never going to go away. That's my passion. This is the fun part of it. This is what I really love doing. I have been posting those quick cut edits the next morning, and people love that. What I'm going to do is, instead of just taking the stream and chopping it up, I'm going to start posting in the mornings what I'm going to call the Daily Sting. Okay. The Daily Sting kind of leans into the Hive. And what that's going to be is like 25 to 35 minutes. It's the same thing, but it's going to be generalized headlines, quick video clips of what the live will be talking about that evening. It also gives me the ability to research, to pivot, to put it out there, get intel on what we're going to talk about in the live. And I think that it's going to be something that allows me to spend time researching the stuff that I'm going to actually talk about at night, rather than just spend my time editing. So I think that it's going to be a really, really good thing. And I think also what's going to be nice is that can pivot and go in any directions on current events. Whereas then the live, we can dive into whatever the hell we want to talk about. It could be Idaho 4. It could be Charlie Kirk. It could be Delphi, it could be whatever. So the Daily Sting will allow me to continue to research other events that are going on instead of taking all that time to edit it. So I hope you guys are going to like that. I'm going to put a lot of effort into it. I could show you guys the logo here real quick in the bottom right of the screen. Here's what it's going to look like. Oh, so that will be the background for the Daily Sting, and it'll be just me pre-recorded, and then we'll do the lives as normal. So that is a channel update. I'm excited about it, and I hope you all will enjoy that as well. So Hive, I hope you guys have a great night. Tomorrow, we will be going live at 9 a.m. Central. I love the morning lives. Those have quickly become one of my favorites. Mrs. Birdie and I are going to a concert tomorrow night. I'm taking my lady out on the town, and I'm excited for that, to spend some time with her. Saturday will be a normal stream. Sunday night, same as always, but Fridays, I've really enjoyed doing these morning streams with everybody here before the weekend. And then on Monday in the morning, the first Daily Sting will be up. So I hope everybody gets a great night rest, goes into Friday feeling good, and I will see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Central. Cheers.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.